at the highest level.
It should be considered a ground positioning system. Not
Well, it's a global positioning system. The question is, where are they getting their signals from?
So what was it that brought you to Flat Earth? What was
That's
it?
what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
3 years ago, 1 year ago, hey.
I was looking on the Drudge Report. It's a news algorithm site or acquisition site that I look at a lot.
Right. I go there.
And I saw this one headline: Saudi cleric.
It's a good way to keep an eye on the narrative, right?
Yeah. Saudi cleric. The headline is Saudi cleric doesn't think it hurts his teams.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Okay.
Saudi cleric,
Yeah.
like a holy man, like a imam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like a preacher. Saudi cleric.
yeah.
So I said, no, man, I'm not even going to entertain it. I know a lot of Saudis. I've been in Saudi Arabia. And, in the Drudge Report, the stories kind of age off to the right and down.
Right.
And, within 3 days, they're all gone.
Yeah. Filter out. Yeah.
So this article was near the bottom, and I hit it.
Clicked on it.
And it's a video, and it's this guy talking.
And he's very outspoken about it, right?
Well, he was, I don't know if he was outspoken, he was pretty emphatic about it.
Right.
He was a young man, younger than you.
Yeah.
Most of them are, though.
Right.
Most of the guys are young. And he had on his, imam robes.
Yeah, it's all
that. I mean, he was
regalia. Yeah.
He was like the real deal. And his deal was that he was saying was, if you get in an airplane and fly to China,
Right.
then you'll never get there. You can't get back. And then Europe, he kind of had his directions mixed up.
Right.
But he was
Right.
right about. But he was right about the thing. If
He was almost there.
to
He was almost there.
he was there. It's just that
He
he didn't explain it correctly.
Right.
But I knew what he was talking about.
Right.
So I'm thinking, well, I want to think about this a little bit, which I did. But the idea is that the atmosphere spins with the earth.
Right.
That's what they say.
Right.
So that if you're existing in a bubble of air,
Right.
in an aircraft,
Right.
which itself would be moving across this,
Right.
with the earth.
Right.
And so that the aircraft is independent of it.
Yeah.
And I never really thought about it honestly a whole lot until I wanted to give some thought to what this guy says, because I actually like the Saudis quite a bit.
Yeah.
And they're not stupid.
Right.
So anyway, that's what got me started.
Okay, so now there's an engineer, a young man. I don't know if you've seen him. He's got a beard. I can't remember his name right now, but he's kind of. I think he said his wife kind of put him in the basement, But he's an engineer. He's
I know what you're talking about.
really smart guy, and his whole thing with the atmosphere moving with the spinning Earth puts a whole lot of difficulty into other things. Into everything, yeah.
I mean, it would mess up your blockchain internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it messes up a bullet, it's moving fast.
So that means the atmosphere would have to move. The atmosphere would have to move a little bit faster than the Earth.
Well,
Right.
depending where you're at, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing that kind of got me, because I've been recently teaching my grandson how to fly.
Okay.
And
Third generation pilot, huh?
yeah,
All right, amen.
sorry.
This one, I think, yeah, that one's good. Yeah, that one's out.
And you know what? I want them to know aerodynamics. They don't have to know a whole lot about it.
Right.
That's the wisest thing flying.
Right. Yeah.
And I always start out with telling them we live at the bottom of the ocean of air.
Right.
That's what I tell all my students. That's
Makes sense.
How I start my
Yeah.
discussion.
I didn't understand. We start at.
We live at the bottom of the ocean of air.
That's how you think it's used. Right. Okay.
So, flight is dependent on air pressure.
Right.
And it's difficult for people to get their head around this because we don't feel any weight on it.
Right.
But in fact, there's over 14 pounds per square inch on every piece of our body.
Air pressure.
Air pressure. That's the weight of the air. That's how much it weighs.
Right.
Uh,
We're literally basically like walking through fluid.
yes.
Yeah.
It's extremely thin fluid.
Extremely thin fluid.
But it's no different than walking in a swimming pool.
Right.
That's extremely thick fluid.
Right.
But the air density, well, just the air itself is what makes flight possible. Right?
Amen. Yep.
And so I start explaining that to him. And he actually asked me, well, what, the earth is spinning, what's that got to do with it? And I told him, don't pay any attention to that.
Yeah.
Because that's what I tell all my students.
Right. It's
If it
non-essential.
doesn't matter-
It's non-essential.
Well, because that really is a good question. You're gonna get asked.
I think every student asks.
Yeah.
And then, that makes you think.
But the point he's getting to is that
You don't think
they
about
don't worry about it.
That's right.
Don't worry about
Yeah.
it.
That's
You'll
pretty
never
interesting.
see it. You'll never feel the effects of it.
Yeah.
That is, that should be like a wake-up call. It was.
Yeah.
Obviously it was.
So I revisited this business with what the Saudi mom had said.
Right.
But I did that in association with what are the motions of the earth? Moving around the sun. As the sun moves around the galaxy, and as the galaxy moves out into the
It's a
universe.
lot of movement.
That's a lot of
They're
moving.
not taking into account the other.
And we don't feel a thing.
We don't feel nothing. And yet Polaris stays center point all
But
this.
I can come rattle gently the back of your chair, and you feel that.
You'll feel that motion.
You
Yeah.
will hear that.
Right.
And the speeds are unbelievable there. We're right here where we're at in Texas, we're rotating at about 720 miles an hour.
Woo.
That's
I didn't know it was
supersonic.
that fast.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Shouldn't we hear a boom
Wait,
every?
I'm a baby
Yeah.
boomer, so.
Yeah. Shouldn't we hear a boom every now and then or something?
The Earth is circling the sun at an average speed, so they say, of 66,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
The sun is circling the Milky Way galaxy at 500,000 miles an hour.
Wow.
And the Milky Way galaxy is moving in the vastness of the universe.
Who knows which direction?
Well, they say at near the light speed, and you're right. In what direction?
What direction? And I had a conversation with a gentleman, and he says, "Well, the Earth is on a tilt." Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Let me ask you this: if there's no up, down, left, or right in space, how do you know it's on a tilt? And where's your point of reference for that tilt? It doesn't make any sense." That's And he looked at me. He turned his head and he went, like,
Have you ever
He
noticed
couldn't-
how
he
you
couldn't.
suggest something
"Yeah,
that you might consider this? They get angry.
yeah." They get
It's
angry.
like, no.
They get real mad,
I mean, I was talking to my neighbor,
real angry.
and I was telling my neighbor about my daughter-in-law. He knew my daughter-in-law.
Right.
She set up my apartment for me before I was there.
Right.
And I was telling him that she was a flat earther. And
Right.
What? And I said,
Yeah.
they're not just flat earthers. We're in the belief that the earth is not a ball.
Right.
It was a bang, whoop, there's you.
Yeah.
And he's like, no,
Right.
the earth is round and we're here.
Right.
And I said, okay. And this was just one little thing. I said, okay, if we're
Right.
And there's supposedly satellites in the air.
Right.
Why is all of this pointed in one way?
South. They all point south. Now,
And you know what he said?
what?
He
got mad.
was yelling.
Yeah, they get
He
mad.
was yelling
Yeah.
a lot. And he said, I don't care what you say. I know.
Oh yeah, it's a cognitive
And he-
dissonance.
and
Cognitive
he
dissonance.
started getting very angry.
Yeah.
And I don't want to anger him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, I said, well, you know, Shanna is just getting me into it. And I'm learning a lot from her.
Right.
And he was almost,
Live it.
get out of here.
Yeah.
I don't care. And I mean, I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to
That's because everything he ever thought he knew is not what he thought he
See,
knew.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And then the first
people don't want
dance
to
is
feel
anger.
like chump.
Yeah. 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 See, you know, one thing that gave it away for me, I went to Master Gunner School, so we built firing ranges for the
I know what they are.
yeah, for the M1 tank, for the
Spent a lot of time on tank table.
no, there you go. So it's and I'm getting the chills right now thinking about it because and another thing in the desert we do dead reckoning, and we do it from a flat map. Dead reckoning means distance to location. Right.
Not necessarily.
Yeah,
Move
it's
around.
you can move around, but you got to stay within that angle, within that degrees. You got to stay on that heading in order to get to your target, and it's only the degrees plus the distance. That's it. As long as you get to that point in that distance time, but we did it on vast areas. No spherical geometry ever came into so it was all flat geometry. You know, so that tells me right there that there's some shenanigans going on. You know, and
So, who were you with in the Army? What unit?
I was with 124 Cav. I was with was it 26th Brigade out of Fort Benning, Georgia. We did all the gunnery, all the transfer from the 113s to the Bradleys for all the National Guard units from Mississippi down to Texas.
Were you a Bradley gunner?
Yeah, I was a Bradley TC. Yeah, I was a gunner at TC, and then I went over to the virtual reality world. I started working with Radon, Raytheon, L3, Lockheed Martin, all those guys on all their stuff. And when you get on, and it's all GPS. We did GPS tracking. So it's BCS3 was the thing. It was basically it's Federal Express on a military platform.
There's
So-
a lot about Flatter's conversation that it is above money.
So we
Yeah,
tracked.
still my
So,
favorite.
so what we did was basically we just tracked beans and bullets for NATO.
Okay.
All the beans and bullets, and they all have RFID tags on them, just like you see at Walmart and everything else.
Where was that at?
It was Fort Hood. I worked at Fort Hood. It was started at Fort Dix, and then when I got out, I retired out of Fort Hood, and then I worked for Lockheed
So
Martin
you
at
were
Fort
on
Hood.
mine.
Right.
That's what I do.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So that I think that's L3. I think Lockheed Martin L3. Yeah. And Cubic. Okay. And I helped develop and put into operation the first virtual reality trainers for the Humvee IED reaction type stuff. So I know a little bit about distance and those types of things. So these red flags would hit me all the time, and I would be like, you have to throw it away because you don't need it at that moment. That's not what's important.
Think on it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
But later, when I get and I'm alone and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no. And then I hear these gentlemen, I hear Mark Sargent, I'm like, yeah, I knew it. I knew it. And
But
yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I want to get before I forget. Okay. I met kind of like a pen pal, but it was on the phone every night.
Okay.
A friend of mine was from Massachusetts, and a friend of hers was just a neat guy. He was a photographer, and he was and we talked every single night because it was free nights and weekends at that point in time, back in 2001. And he said, well, why don't you come up to the New England States? Come up. I'll buy your Amtrak ticket. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. I'll come up there. And so I meet this man. He's a Yankee. And then, yeah. And he is a photographer. He likes photographing. Well, he actually made.
Wait, is this PG? No, I'm just kidding.
He actually made the camera that goes on the end of the scopes.
Oh.
Yes, Huntley and Brinkley. You remember Huntley and Brinkley? You might not. But this man's name is Bob Huntley. And David Brinkley and Chet Huntley was his uncle.
Okay.
And my friend Bob Huntley, he made the camera so small that it could go in for colonoscopies and all that.
Okay.
And
Man.
but he was a very major photographer of lighthouses.
Okay.
So he takes me
Lighthouses.
to the East
I like
Towers.
that.
He takes me to the East Towers,
Uh-huh.
and he makes the picture like this big, and he puts captions on the top, and he wants me to stand here, and he took a picture of me standing with the lighthouse in the background.
Uh-huh.
And I'm doing like this, waiting for him to take the picture. And at the top he put, "You want me to do what?" Well, I ain't going to do it. Well, I haven't had that picture up at all. I put it up in the kitchen, just stuck it in the wall recently. My son came in and goes, "Where is that?"
Wow.
And I said, "It's up there on the East Coast." And he said, "Do you see that ship way up there?" And I looked, and I was like, "No, I didn't know."
You never seen it in your whole
I
life.
never.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh-huh.
I wasn't, but he, I mean, he's
That's awesome.
on that.
Yeah.
And he said, "We should be able to see that ship."
So these are the things that now stick out to us.
Yeah.
That just we
I mean-
and that's the whole reason for the whole conditioning and the programming and the politics and all this stuff is to keep us from looking at what's really going on. Yeah.
And
Now,
my son is a very smart person.
amen. Yeah.
But no, he doesn't take anything, you know, by somebody.
Oh, he's got a.
You know,
He's a Berean. He's a Berean. Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
I should be Missouri, the show me state,
Show me
because
state, yeah.
I don't believe anything until you tell me.
Amen.
So when she yelled at me, that
Well,
God
I can't wait to meet him.
But you know, I'm
So-
like, okay, and I start.
So let me ask you this question. This is like, I think this is the one that would give anybody and everybody if they could just really hear it from somebody that knows, and that's what about the gyroscope? What's the gyroscope? What's the deal on the gyroscope? Is it an end all for the conversation, or is it still doubt? Is it still raised doubt? Or
There can be doubt.
okay,
First of all, the gyroscope, when it's spinning,
mm-hmm.
it's going to stay in the plane in which it's spinning.
Right.
I mean, we've all had the toy gyroscope. You
Right.
spin them and you move it, and you notice it's hard to push over.
Right. And but it's still, we keep on spinning.
Still, but it's
stays.
difficult. It
Right.
takes some
Right.
force.
Yeah.
It's not just going to go over.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is that?
Well, the only reason I said that is that a gyroscope will stay in the plane in which it's spinning.
Right. Once it starts to spin, so
Right. So what they've got them in, they've got them, they call them gimbals. All they are is things that hold the gyroscope
right.
that allows the gyroscope to stay in its original plane and
Continue to spin.
and it'll continue to spin, but these gimbals move around it as it stays in its plane.
Right.
And that is, you can take that information and transmit it to an instrument in the aircraft that tells you whether your nose is up or down,
Okay.
or left or right, all relative to, we all tell them relative to the horizon. But it's really relative to that gyroscope that's spinning.
Because once it goes from where it started at. In other words, if it's at a 45-degree angle and you start it,
That's where it stays.
that's going to the gyroscope. That's level. You know.
You
So
can set it to
right. Right.
So
Wherever.
it's
So the
planes-
gyroscopes don't spin level.
Okay.
They spin.
Right.
And they're going to stay in the plane in which they have started spinning. It doesn't mean they're level.
Right.
So that needs to be started when you're level.
Right. Exactly.
So in early aviation, how they used to do this before they had these kind of instruments was they'd have like basically a bottle of a jar of water.
Right.
And
To
they
tell which way it
and
was.
you know if the water is in the jar, you know,
We needed to
like
correct it. Yeah.
so I mean, but we've had gyroscopes in aircraft since the 1930s.
Right.
And our guys in World War II did a pretty good job of flying pretty fast. I mean, like bombers flew at almost 250 miles an hour
Right.
using these gyroscopes.
Right.
So, but now here's what the arguments are going to get.
Right.
Is that, well, now what they've got is they've got a little device that they put in gyroscopes, and I forget what it's called. I usually it's on the tip of my head that corrects for the curvature of the Earth.
Oh, okay. So they say it's digital. It's a digital
Yeah,
device
but I
that
mean, it's just a deal that costs $30,000. It doesn't do anything,
doesn't do anything. Yeah.
They
right?
pay for this thing,
Yeah.
it does nothing.
And because they say it's curved, they can charge that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? But it doesn't do anything. It's
Right.
just something in there
Right. Right.
that, you know.
That means nothing on that instrument panel.
You
But
can,
it's not even displayed on the instrument panel. It's all internal.
it's internal.
And
Yeah.
it's internal mostly to a navigation system that they call inertial navigation, which is the dead reckoning type that
Yeah.
he was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But it means nothing. It doesn't do anything. Just like Coriolis effect.
Coriolis
I
effect.
tell all the
Yeah.
students, look, there's going to be a question on your test
Right.
about the Coriolis. They call it in, we call it in aviation the Coriolis factor.
Uh-huh.
But I think it's generally referred to as Coriolis effect.
Yeah.
The answer is deflected to the right.
I never seen it.
It's not there.
I never seen it
And you
in
know it.
Master Gunner School. We
If you're
never
shooting
seen
that
any of that.
25 Mike knife,
Yeah.
you'd see it.
Right.
I have fired 1 million or more rounds through an M4,
Right.
and it doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. It's not. It's
Artillery.
It's
doesn't-
not
You've done it
essential.
now.
Yeah.
She knows, but I have
No.
no idea what you're talking about.
Now,
I just know because
now in
of
artillery,
the golf thing.
if there was anything that was affected by the Coriolis effect, it would be artillery.
doesn't have all of it.
Bullet.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the rounds that they fire from, they can fire them out to 35 miles
Right.
away.
Okay.
You know, so when they're lobbing these things out, you know, if there was a Coriolis effect, that would be the one. That would be the one that would cause the difference.
Because they have such
and it
a
doesn't.
long time in the air. The artillery
Yeah.
spends about 14 seconds in the air.
Okay.
From the time it comes out of the end of the gun to it hits.
That's right.
Compared to the gun on his vehicle, which when he shoots it,
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
second and a half later, it's hitting the dirt.
Right. Okay.
Now that may be a long distance away.
Target.
But still a second and a half.
Target. Not just right.
And like if I'm shooting a rifle, a second after I shoot it, that bullet hits the dirt.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It doesn't have as much time as this artillery.
that's why he said if it was going to show up anywhere, it would show up in the artillery.
In the artillery. Yeah.
And it doesn't.
Because it takes 40 seconds.
Yeah. It takes a while.
Now the
Yeah.
thing is, they teach it, and they teach that it's a factor, but it's never used. It's
Right.
never used.
Never
God forgive me, since I'm a soldier, but our very best snipers are the United States Marines.
Yeah.
They are the best.
Oh,
They're
my
better
brothers.
than Navy SEALs.
Yeah.
You
And
wanna
they
know
don't
the
use
real-
sharpshooters.
Nope.
They get down.
Yeah.
Those Marines get down.
Nope.
Never take it into
Our Army snipers don't. We don't have real snipers in the Army. But
wind.
yeah, the biggest thing is wind.
Yeah.
There's other things, temperature, air density, barometric pressure, humidity that they consider, but they never consider spinning of the earth.
Hey, real quick, Tommy, my boy Tommy Workman. He's got a question. He just wanted to know real quick again. What is it you do? What were you?
I've been a pilot, commercial pilot, air traffic controller, flight instructor. I was the chief aviation, or not chief, the senior aviation trainer in the Army.
Senior aviation trainer in the Army.
And I worked extensively with GPS.
Okay. And the Earth is?
Flat.
So, yeah, thank you very much.
So here's what sealed the deal for me.
Okay.
It was, who's the dude in Thailand?
And who?
Thailand.
Thailand.
He's got a lot of videos on flat Earth.
Are you talking about Dubay? Eric Dubay?
Eric Dubay.
Yeah.
Oh, wasn't he?
Yeah, Eric Dubay.
Hey.
All right.
So he's the one that got me.
Right. Yeah, I like this stuff.
I thought he was banned or something.
I don't. Him and Mark. He had something with Mark Sargent, but we don't. It's all. Yeah.
He's got a lot of.
They're both really great guys. Yeah.
But he was talking about the higher you go, that the horizon raises with you.
With the eyes. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, all right, it does. The horizon rises with
That's
you.
what I'm saying.
That can't happen if you're on a ball.
On the ball, yeah.
And he demonstrates it, but I've experienced it. So the guy that taught me to fly was my father.
Yeah.
That's his passion.
Right.
From World War II.
Okay, were you
awesome.
a pilot before you went in the military?
I'm a commercial pilot.
Yeah. See, mine came retrospectively after I had already started looking at it, and I started thinking, yeah, he's absolutely right. Every time I would look out, whatever aircraft I was in,
Yeah.
I didn't look down. I looked straight out and saw the horizon out there, and it was always at my eye level.
And I've been as high in real aircraft. I've been as high as 45,000 feet.
45,000 feet. Yeah.
45?
45. That's up there.
That's up there. Yeah.
And that horizon is out there. I mean, that
Yeah.
means. And so what Eric Dubay says is, well, that indicates it's an infinite plane.
Right.
And maybe it is. I don't know.
We don't know how infinite.
Yeah.
Infinite to us could, be
Yeah.
200 miles. I mean,
But
because we can't go that far
as
anyway.
far as we can see.
Right.
But so when I went flying with my father for the first time, and he's telling me how to judge where I'm at by looking at the horizon.
Right.
So we're up at about 7,000 feet. Okay, that's easy. Then we go up to 14,000 feet. And I'm like, because he had drawn, and this is what I do too. I had a grease pencil me. He made me draw a line across the windscreen with the horizon was at.
Right.
He did that on the ground.
Huh.
And it never changed. I mean, so at 7,000 feet it's there, at 14,000 feet it's there. And I'm
That's
asking
interesting.
him, shouldn't that be lower? And he goes, well, it probably should be, but
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
This is a guy that had, by the time he was teaching me, he had over 15,000 hours of flying time. And he's not a novice anything.
Right.
And you look like a woman that's on Fox News.
Yeah, she does.
It's this real liberal woman.
What's her name?
That's not me.
Yeah.
She's cute.
Yeah.
She's real cute. She goes on
No, I'm
Tucker
fine.
Carlson, and she does
Yeah.
liberal.
Yeah, he's right.
You don't know her name?
I thought you looked familiar. No,
He didn't want to say, "Are you from Fox News?"
Yeah. Have you ever been on Fox News?
Yeah.
See, with me, I like I said, I started rehab 15 months ago. I had an addiction, and my thing was, Lord, I'm gonna just unlearn everything I ever knew, because I want to get to know you, you know. And that was the beginning of my flat earth journey. Was I did a brain dump, and I started reading the Bible.
That's cool.
And I've just read the Bible, and then I started seeing, because I was always watching Rob Skiba with the Nephilim, you know, his take on the Nephilim, and for me that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and then as I read it, I was like, wow, this is just phenomenal. This is what God sent me to understand, was that everything He says is true. You know, that everything he says in His Word is true, and that every man is a liar. You know, and so let God be true and every man a liar. And so for me, that was what brought me into it. But then I started looking at all the scientific things, and then the horizon thing came to my mind. And you know, when I was a kid, I know there's a reason why God didn't want me to listen in class. You know, and I was very rebellious in class. And I'll do your classwork, but I'm not doing your homework, and I'm not gonna adhere to whatever it is you're trying to make me, you know. And so I think that's where God saved me, was my rebellious nature. You know, from when I was a kid. Yeah, it was easier for me to do a brain dump on everything, you know. But people that are in the matrix, you know, we call it, it's the matrix. They're so confused. Because they think they know it. And Chuck Missler, I watched Chuck Missler, and he says that you know, the one thing that stops you from gaining the truth is thinking you already have it.
Right.
You know, so you already have it. So if you think you already have the truth, then everybody else is a dummy. Everybody else is stupid. So you know, but we got to check the truth.
Can I say something about Christianity and flat earth?
Yes, sir.
So Florence and I are both Christians.
Yes, amen.
And we have been for decades, but one of the things that a lot of people, if they ever come to not really an understanding, but even an inkling that this place may not be what we're told it is.
Right.
Yeah.
The first question they ask themselves is, who made it?
Right.
Who made it?
Right.
Now, there's a lot of different answers to
Absolutely.
that. Eric Dubay has a different answer than you and I have.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Sargent has a different answer than you and I have.
Right. But that's okay.
That's okay,
okay.
except it's not true.
Right.
Well, I'm like you. The guide I go by is like.
Right.
And
Yeah. Amen.
so the Bible never says the earth is flat.
Right. That does say it.
It does say, however, it ain't moving.
It don't move, and it has foundations,
Right.
and it has pillars,
And flat out, it does not move.
and we sit under a vaulted, some sort of vaulted expanse.
She told me the
You know?
word firmament, and I automatically thought land. You know, like a divider.
Right.
Firm.
Firm.
She was like, no. And then, you know.
It says in Job, it says it's like a molten looking glass, polished and hammered down. Yeah. So that means the Word of God tells us that it's not what science tells us. And here's another thing with the atmosphere and the vacuum of space. You cannot have a vacuum connected to something that has no seal. It has to be sealed. Yeah.
The current scientific theory with gravity is that gravity is the weakest force in the universe.
Right.
The weakest. The strongest force is a vacuum.
So
Those two ain't going to work well together.
How can they sit next to each other?
they can't. Those aren't friends.
Yeah.
Just to give you an example, back to flying, right? This is a wing, and it's moving through the air. You've got air passing under it, air passing over it.
Okay.
The reason the wing goes up is because air pressure on top of the wing is less than the air pressure on the bottom.
Lift.
And how that's accomplished is like this. Because as we sit here, these air molecules are hitting all over our body in random directions.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And they're not in a straight line. They're just coming at you. But when you force an object through it, it causes those air molecules to straighten out.
Gotcha.
When they straighten out, because there's not this so much random motion,
That's why when you see the wind tunnel, it's got that smoke line. That smoke
the
line.
air
Yeah.
pressure is decreased.
Right.
So that you've got lower air pressure up here than you do down there.
Right.
So because the air is always trying to even its pressure out, the higher air pressure on the bottom of the wing lifts up trying to get into the lower pressure.
Right.
Well, there's a wing in the middle of it, and it lifts the wing.
It's called lift. That's what
Why
they
they
call
call
it.
it
Lift.
lift.
Right.
So, and that's just an everyday thing. But it's, well, here's the example I like.
Ceiling fan crank, you know, you want it to fully up.
Or down.
Yeah, right.
But here's the thing with the space station that always gets me.
Yeah. The ISS.
Yeah, that's
So
The fake station.
yeah, they're all up there blowing water out.
Yeah.
And it forms into a ball.
Yeah.
And let me ask you, why does it do that? Because what they're trying to convey is that in space, everything forms into a ball.
Into a
just
sphere.
like
To a sphere. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why
That's
they
their.
do it.
Yeah.
But what's really happening?
The
Why is
conditioning.
that doing it? See, I can take you up in an airplane, and I can put you in zero gravity.
That means the air.
Yeah.
No. That means that I can take the airplane and put it in a dive,
In your one-time weight.
and that will give you the effect of weightlessness,
Right.
right? And they call it a parabolic curve because it's always changing.
Right, yeah.
You've always got to keep increasing it, but you'll be weightless. And if you did that and opened up your bottle of water and threw some water out, it would form into a ball.
Yeah.
The reason it would form into a ball is because you're still in the atmosphere. And there is air pressure all around that water in
Yeah.
every direction.
Right.
And it's
The air
pushing
pressure
it together.
is equal.
So
Right.
even if the space station was in space, it's pressurized. So it proves nothing.
Right.
It's a
It
trick.
shouldn't do that.
It's a trick. No, it will do
It will do it.
because they're pressurized.
Oh, because it's pressurized. All right.
But I think they're doing
The parabolic, yeah.
parabolic flight. They're
Parabolic
not
flight.
really up there.
Exactly,
Right.
right, with the green screen.
Right.
And it proves absolutely.
Oh, we have video of a guy cruising by on a harness.
Oh, yeah.
The guy cruising by on a harness. He's got him on a harness.
just last night. I was
I
watching.
like the one with Bush walking through.
Yeah.
Pushing the wheelchair.
So here's one with the car that.
Yeah, the car thing. The Elon Musk car in space bullcrap.
First thing I noticed on that car when I saw the picture of it in outer space was its tires were still on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the tires. That's it. Those tires would have exploded the first millisecond. In a perfect vacuum in space, those tires would have exploded. Yeah. Not to mention the cold and the heat. It goes extreme cold to extreme heat. The sunlight is extremely hot and the shade is extremely cold.
But those tires, man, that stuff would have blown sky high.
Yeah. The paint would have started coming off of that thing.
And
Yeah.
I didn't see what y'all are talking about, but I heard Sergeant Patricia Stair
Yeah.
talking about it,
Yeah.
and they were saying exactly what you
so,
it was,
you know,
the fluid
like
in
the
the car.
dudes on the moon, right?
Right. The
Remember,
tubes on the moon. Yeah.
remember that you function with 14 and a half pounds of weight on every square inch of your body.
Right.
That's even the bottom of your nose.
Yeah.
That's what holding you together.
Well, it is in a sense. It's compressing you.
Yeah.
And that, if you didn't have that, if that pressure was suddenly removed, your fluids would start releasing gases. That's what would make your blood boil. It's not boiling because it gets hot.
Right.
It's boiling because the pressure is off.
Okay.
Changing pressure.
Okay.
So in order to get 14 pounds of pressure, or even 8 pounds of pressure, which is okay. We can do with 8 pounds of pressure on our body. These spacesuits would be, you'd be like
Giant.
You couldn't move. It'd be
Like Michelin Man, like the Michelin Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're talking about running around in fabric.
Did you know that there are only 11 spacesuits in the inventory? Yeah. There's only 11. There's only 11. And those are the same ones. Yeah. And those are the same ones that have been in inventory from day one.
Really?
Yeah. That's what they say. But now every time they go to space, they're wearing a different suit.
Right, exactly.
So
When you see them,
so which is
they
it?
can report back to
And then there's a guy, they hired a guy out of Houston who builds spacesuits for Hollywood. NASA hired him.
Right.
So he designs he's designing their spacesuits that they don't have. Why is he designing spacesuits for NASA when they already have 11 that's been in inventory from day one?
Why do
Doesn't
they
make sense.
have
Doesn't make sense.
astronauts in their spacesuits training underwater? They said it's equivalent to
The buoyancy.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
And I watched several videos where they had pointed out that in the viewing of the spacewalk,
Bubbles. Yeah, bubbles in space.
Bubbles in space.
Bubbles in
Where'd
space.
they come from?
Yeah, they're bubbles.
I thought it was the kid news that they've been asked.
Yeah.
That it, for all those people to who was it Buzz Aldrin?
Yeah.
And he says he asked him because they're getting questions.
Yeah, why are there bubbles in space?
Yeah, and he asked him about bubbles in space.
No, it was the guy that his the woman that got shot. What's her name? The bald-headed astronaut. It was him that the kid asked. Yeah.
It was great.
It was great. Yeah, he put him on the spot.
My real interest in this is biblical.
It's what?
Biblical.
Amen. That's
my real interest.
yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
reason
Yeah. See, I asked somebody the other day. I just had to stop talking to my nephew. Because here's the deal: is the Bible okay for you only because it's your salvation? You get salvation from it. So all you want is what God has to offer you in salvation. But you're not going to believe the rest of the Bible, everything it says. So either the Bible all of the Bible is true, or the Bible is not true at all. We can't pick and choose what we want to be true.
Right. It does say
That's exactly what I told you, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, he popped the line. That's in Job.
Yeah. Drawing a line on the surface.
This is on the line, I think.
Yeah. That's like when you said when you build a chocolate a house. Yeah. When you build a house.
We're not sure what it looks like, but it's not a ball.
It's not a ball, man. Yeah.
It
Ain't we don't live on no globe.
And we don't know how big this thing is.
And the thing is, they're hiding God. That's what science is doing.
Yeah.
They're hiding God.
And it's not just the shape of the earth, it's the cosmology in general.
Right.
It's
They want us to depend on these monkey men that say we came from monkeys and all that stuff.
Yeah.
it's evolution.
Yeah.
Everything.
Right.
And
Did you know that when the Bible, the year before the Bible was taken out of schools, 1960, what was it?
63, I think.
63. The year before that, there were only 9. The Catholic Church only recorded 9 exorcisms. The year after the Bible was taken out, it recorded 1,500. 1,500 exorcisms. Yeah. So that tells you the exponential rate of fall that man has gone through since the Bible was taken out of school.
In a day.
In a year.
Yeah.
In a year's time.
Yeah, this is another subject, but
Yeah.
I'm online with Brother Skiba.
Right.
And the guy's name is Skiba.
Rob Skiba.
Rob Skiba.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's
He's an aviation guy. He's a
He's
rotorhead.
an aviation puke.
Yeah, rotorhead.
And
Rotorhead,
Oh, okay.
helicopter pilot.
It was a door gunner too.
Yeah, door gunner.
So,
Marines are jarheads. Huh? Marines
Marines are jarheads.
Yeah.
but he's definitely onto something with the Nephilim.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was my first introduction into FE was because
So,
Right?
I'm all about that. See today we've dumbed down their DNA manipulation to the point to where they look just like you and me.
Yeah.
well, I'm not sure about all
That's
that.
that's my
I
that's
am
my
sure
that's my
that I'm actually got thrown out of the seminary.
really.
Yeah,
All right.
a long time ago.
Hit me with it.
When
Let's hear it.
Sock it to us.
I was in an evangelical Protestant fundamentalist seminary.
Wow.
The name of it is Luther Rice.
Uh-huh.
And I got in, this was back in the 80s, early 80s.
Okay.
And we got into the Genesis 6 account of the giants.
Right.
And the professor was saying, well, no, that's not giants. This is
Sons of
the
Seth.
descendants of Seth.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, well, look, the deal with, first of all, I'm a Catholic.
Uh-huh.
She was not at the time.
But
Right.
I don't live or die on that.
Right, I understand.
My emphasis really is on the Bible.
Amen.
But the fundamentalists, they bend over backwards to do all these. This word means this, blah blah blah. But they break it all down in the original language, use the tenses, all of this. It's okay. Well, if sons of God means angels in the book of Job,
Right.
then it
The
means,
law of first mention.
it
Right.
means
Right.
angels in the book of Genesis.
In the book of Genesis.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So, there's no way around that. But they didn't like that.
Right,
And I wouldn't
right.
change my opinion.
Well, that's where in Jesus talks about giving us the power to become sons of God, Beni Elohim. But see, that's a whole different class. That's a whole different type of new creation. We're the new creation through Him. It's still a Beni Elohim. It's still a son of God, but it's not like an angel son of God. It's a son of God as an adoption.
So,
to Him.
well,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all right.
Here's my deal. Rob Steve's got this buddy. I take her on the Alps now, and I forget his
Eric
name.
Dubay.
No.
No, that was
Eric Dubay is a Hindu or a Buddhist.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not into that.
Yeah.
Into that. Because one of the answers as to who made this
Right.
is paganism.
Right. Right. That's one of their.
And that is, it's a legitimate answer. It's not correct.
Right.
But if somebody made this, it could have been somebody,
Yeah. It's a guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I forgot what I was going to say.
Rob Skiba and this other guy, they're kind of on the
Yeah,
outs
he's got
right now.
this buddy,
Yeah.
and I keep forgetting his name, but he's a great guy. He hates the flat earth, but he's a great theologian, I think,
Okay.
and a great Hebrew scholar.
Oh, you talking about Doug Hamp?
Yes.
Yeah, Doug Hamp. Yeah, I like Doug Hamp, man. But I don't agree with his theology either. I don't.
Well,
His hermeneutics.
His deal is he's written a book called Made in His Image.
Right. Right.
And he goes to great lengths to prove linguistically
Yeah.
and theologically that what that's talking about is we have God's DNA,
Right. Right.
right? Which the angels don't.
Right.
The angels do not have God's DNA. We
Right.
do.
Right.
We are made in His likeness.
Right.
We look like Him.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
The New Testament is what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Becoming the sons of God. It's just not the same thing. It's Greek.
Right.
It's not the same word.
Okay. Right. Right. And that was my understanding too. Is that it's a different kind of son. It's not in the same category as the sons of God in the Old Testament. So yeah. So I agree with that.
What happened to Adam and Eve when they ate the fruit? It corrupted their DNA.
Right.
That's why in the day that they ate of it, they died.
Right.
And,
Technically.
well, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They died. Yeah.
Because before that, we were completely different creatures.
Right.
you know,
Is it like our body had lied? There was some sort
yeah,
of
we were clothed in light.
yeah.
We didn't, you know, we were immortal.
Right. We were already like God.
We were like God.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And that's why to this day they still have the
Now
elusive
we're
carrot
not.
on the stick. You know, the elusive carrot on the stick is that we can someday be like God, and that's what this
that's the whole thing that's
Yeah.
going on today with
Right.
real paganism.
transhumanism
Right.
and all that. Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
And they're getting close. Like, I remember years ago they used to always talk about, well, the Bible can't be true because nobody can have a baby who's a virgin. And I get that all the time. Suddenly that argument dropped off to the side because we got Dolly the sheep.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's all gone. They
Right.
don't talk about that piece anymore.
It's
So
artificial insemination. Now a virgin could have a child. Any virgin. Yeah.
So I really like Steve's take on it all. I'm
Yeah.
sure he's correct.
Yeah.
And it's all about genetic manipulation.
Right.
And it's all about these fallen angels.
Angels. Right. This is all. See, and there's a dude named Dr. Michael Heiser.
I know him.
Dr. Michael Heiser. He's got it down packed. If you read, read.
He's a Hebrew scholar.
Yeah, read Psalms 82, and it talks about the council of gods and God and Elohim. God is in the council of the mighty, and I mean, it really puts a whole different perspective on what is all this really about. See, it's about that's why there are 70 nations. Dr. Michael Heiser. Yeah, Rob Skiba has a link to his site if you go to Rob Skiba's.
He's got a long gray hair. It's like he talks about Elohim and the. He's the only one read there.
Are you talking about the guy, that prophet guy that lives in Arizona? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Let me look real quick. I got him on my phone.
Okay.
You can always find it. Have you sure? But
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it down here on this one. So guys, say bye bye. Say bye. Say bye to Facebook. Facebook. Bye. See you guys later. Thank you guys. Keep it flat. Yep, I like that. Keep it flat.